For decades, the United States has been a powerful ally to many Asian nations. However, in 2025, that dynamic is changing. Today, we will explore 7 Asian countries that are distancing themselves from the US in 2025 and uncover the real reasons behind this sudden shift in alliances. Let's begin. Number 7. Indonesia. In 2025, Indonesia has begun gradually stepping back from its close ties with the United States. A major reason for this shift is Washington's firm stance on human rights and environmental regulations, particularly concerning palm oil and nickel production. These two industries are vital to Indonesia's economy, and American trade restrictions on them have caused significant economic strain. Many in Jakarta view this as undue interference in their domestic affairs. Palm oil and nickel are not merely export commodities, they sustain millions of jobs and provide substantial government revenue. Any limitation imposed on them is seen as a direct threat to the nation's economy. Rather than relying heavily on Washington, Indonesia is building stronger relationships with other countries. China has become one of the top buyers of Indonesian nickel, while Middle Eastern nations are investing significantly in energy and infrastructure projects. Does this mean Indonesia and the US are completely cutting ties? Not entirely. The United States remains an important buyer of Indonesian goods, but mutual trust is rapidly eroding. Indonesia's message is clear: it will work with partners who respect its choices, even if that means moving further away from Washington. Before moving on, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We love to see where our audience comes from. Now, let's continue to the next country. Number 6. Pakistan. In 2025, Pakistan's relationship with the United States has reached one of its lowest points in decades. The main reason is Washington's deepening defense and trade partnership with India, Pakistan's long-standing rival. For many in Islamabad, this signals that the US is no longer a dependable ally. Why is this so significant for Pakistan? For years, it relied heavily on US military aid, trade agreements, and diplomatic support. Losing this backing means the country must seek out new allies and alternative sources of assistance. As a result, Pakistan is strengthening its ties with China, further engaging in trade and infrastructure initiatives under the Belt and Road Project. Additionally, it is increasing cooperation with Russia and other regional powers that impose fewer political conditions on their agreements. Does this mean Pakistan has severed ties completely with the US? Not fully, but the relationship has weakened. Trust is gone, many joint projects are stalled, and high-level visits have become rare. By 2025, Pakistan is making it clear that its priority is to align with partners that share its strategic interests, even if that means moving further away from Washington. Number 5. Malaysia. In 2025, Malaysia's ties with the United States are no longer as close as they once were. Washington's criticism of Malaysia's internal politics and its growing concern over Kuala Lumpur's economic and security ties with China have created friction. Why does this matter to Malaysia? Because it feels as though the US is attempting to dictate its foreign partnerships. Malaysian leaders, however, insist on maintaining a balanced approach, fostering good relations with all countries instead of choosing sides. Consequently, Malaysia is expanding its cooperation with neighboring Asian nations, China, and Middle Eastern countries. It is actively working on tourism, trade, and military collaborations with partners who do not impose strict political conditions. Is Malaysia completely distancing itself from the US? Not entirely. Cooperation continues in several areas, but the US is no longer Malaysia's top priority. The message is straightforward. Malaysia will remain friends with the US, but only if treated with equal respect. And before we move forward, if you find this video engaging, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's proceed. Number 4. Nepal in 2025. Nepal's relationship with the United States is also cooling. A major reason is Washington's concern over Nepal's growing economic and infrastructure partnerships with China. The U.S. has repeatedly warned Nepal against over-reliance on Beijing, but Nepali leaders see these projects as crucial for boosting economic growth and creating jobs. Instead of slowing down, Nepal is moving forward with Chinese-backed projects, including roads, railways, and power plants. Leaders in Kathmandu maintain that they are open to working with any nation that offers fair deals without political strings attached. Ties have also weakened due to the U.S. cutting certain aid programs following disputes over how the funds were managed. This loss of support has pushed Nepal to diversify its partnerships, strengthening ties with India, Gulf states, and even Russia for trade and investment. For ordinary Nepalis, this shift has mixed consequences. On one hand, it brings new job opportunities in construction, tourism, and trade. On the other hand, there are concerns about rising foreign debt, which could create long-term challenges. Ultimately, Nepal is making its position clear. It will not allow any single nation to dictate its policies. While it still values relations with the U.S., Nepal is determined to make independent choices about its future, even if that means moving further away from Washington's influence. Number 3. Vietnam in 2025. Tensions between Vietnam and the United States are becoming more evident. Trade remains important, but political disputes are driving a wedge between the two nations. The primary issue is Washington's criticism of Vietnam's tight control over free speech and political activities. The U.S. has also raised concerns about human rights, which Hanoi views as unwelcome interference in its internal affairs. Why is this escalating now? Under the current U.S. administration, there is an increased effort to use trade and aid as leverage to pressure countries on political issues. Vietnam, however, insists on maintaining sovereignty over its own policies. Another source of friction is the South China Sea. While the U.S. wants Vietnam to take a stronger stance against China, Hanoi prefers a more balanced approach, managing disputes in a way that maintains stability and protects its economy. As a result, Vietnam is expanding ties with South Korea, Japan, and ASEAN neighbors, securing trade and investment without political strings attached. This shift provides Vietnam with greater independence, though it also risks losing some benefits from trade with the U.S. Still, Hanoi seems willing to accept this trade-off to preserve autonomy. The two nations continue to cooperate, but trust is no longer as strong as it once was. Number 2. China. By 2025, China's relationship with the United States has deteriorated to one of its lowest points in decades. The two powers are clashing across multiple fronts: trade, technology, military presence, and global influence. A key driver of this conflict is the ongoing trade war. Tariffs and restrictions on Chinese exports remain in place and, in some cases, have even intensified. The U.S. has also imposed tighter controls on high-tech exports, especially semiconductors and artificial intelligence. This has accelerated Beijing's push for self-reliance in critical industries. The deeper issue, however, is trust, or the lack thereof. Both nations accuse one another of unfair practices and are preparing for a future with minimal dependence on each other. Military tensions are also escalating. The U.S. has strengthened its presence in the Asia-Pacific through closer cooperation with Japan, Australia, and the Philippines. China views this as an attempt to contain its rise, particularly regarding Taiwan and the South China Sea. In response, Beijing has increased military drills and expanded defense ties with Russia and other partners. How does this affect ordinary citizens? For Chinese businesses, reduced access to U.S. markets and technology poses immediate challenges but also fuels domestic innovation. The government is heavily investing in research, education, and production at home. Cultural and academic exchanges have slowed as well, with fewer Chinese students traveling to the U.S. and tourism dropping sharply. Number 1. The Philippines. In 2025, the Philippines is undergoing a surprising shift in its foreign policy. Once one of America's strongest allies in Asia, Manila is now rethinking the nature of its alliance with Washington. This does not mean the relationship is over, but the tone has clearly changed. Many Filipino leaders feel that the U.S. often takes more than it gives. While Washington has provided military aid and disaster relief, the Philippines continues to face challenges in defending its territory, especially in the South China Sea. Some question whether the U.S. is truly a dependable ally when support during heightened tensions with China seems insufficient. At the same time, the Philippines is expanding its economic ties with China, South Korea, and Middle Eastern nations. Investments and infrastructure projects from these partners often come with fewer political demands, making them appealing to local leaders who want fast results. For ordinary Filipinos, this realignment has both pros and cons. On the positive side, diversifying alliances could bring more jobs, better infrastructure, and access to new technologies. However, moving away from the U.S. could weaken long-standing security guarantees in times of crisis. Cultural pride is also a factor. Many Filipinos value independence and do not want their country's policies dictated by a single foreign power. Leaders are increasingly advocating for a multi-directional foreign policy, maintaining friendships with many nations while avoiding over-dependence on any one partner. Although U.S. military bases and cooperation remain for now, the Philippines is sending a clear message. It wants relationships based on equality, not dependency. By 2025, this marks a significant transformation in how the country engages with the world. America is still considered a friend, but no longer the only friend that matters. For a nation that once relied so heavily on Washington, this is a dramatic change, one that could reshape the Philippines' role in Asia for years to come. Thank you for watching. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Which of these countries do you think will completely break ties with the U.S.? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading and responding to as many as I can.